Malawi Today.
Nkhani ya hotel ya Amaryllis ni nkhani yoti ikuvuta kuti itha bwanji chifukwa choti nkhani imeneyi ikukhuza anthu ambiri ochuluka kutengera ku boma limene lapita komanso ndi boma limene lili padakali pano. Ndi nkhani ikuvuta kuti itha bwanji, koma apa kamangira akupitiriza kupanga expose kapena kuti kuulula zinthu zambiri zimene zikuchitika pa nkhani imeneyi. Mudziwa bwino kuti posachedwa apa amakokana ndi baba malondera. Ababa malondera anabweresa maumboni pa Facebook kunena kuti zimene akunena kamangira ndi zabodza, kuti iye ananyamula ndalama kwa Clifford Kawinga koma zoona zake ndi zimene iyeyo adapereka. Ndi apa kamangira wabwera nkumuyankha baba malondera, komanso osayiwala mkatikatimo muli kumuyankha mpinganjira pa zomwe anayankhula sabata imene yapitayi. Takhala ndikuopa kuti mumve zambiri zimene zili mmene muli zambiri ndithu.
Naonena kuti amzikamanda pamene yalo pa Facebook kande chichewa chikwena chichuluke koma pepa lali ni mchizungu komanso zimene tikulemba ncholinga chonena kuti dziko lonse limve ndi nchifukwa zili mchizungu, sikuti chichewa sititha. Chichewa chimatha ndithu koma malamulo monga muziwa inu zonse zimakhala the cyber attack. Thank you Mr. Mchunga. I've been attacked, it's a cyber attack. It's serious. It's an attempt. It's like many of career out of no attempt or your life physically, but now it's cyber and it's serious crime. But if you have if you have Tom Mpinganjira mentioning my name in that statement where he's saying Musamada ndaole kuda kubandani kapena asa kubandani kuzanira kuti musamamvere kamangira chancha. Basically, these people can do anything. I'm dealing with people with billions in dollars. I'm dealing with people ndalama zokuba zambiri mbiri. It's an industry, and siza mpinganjira yeka kuli chigulu chimene chimaba koma ambiri ndife ndameti ambiri amene titi osauka ndipo amene tisala ukuba kuti akamanira dai kamangira ndosauka nzona atuka ndinosauka ifasi ndiba kumalawi kuja. They have made the system that if you are not corrupt, you be poor. And that's why I'll call out my lawyers, brilliant lawyers, but they had no choice but to be involved in the corruption. So when people called, say, hakamangira ndosauka ina Sylvester Ayuba kana ralibe kali kose nimangoseka. Of course sikuti ndibe kena kali kose fa ainazindikira mwansanga kuti system is corrupt. That's why I was working in Ndazungu. People thought kuti nimangugwira Ndazungu haja kuti basi. I wanted to save myself away from the corruption, because without working with Azungu, with reprieve, without working with or doing the work that I was doing, I'm caught up in the corruption. They're caught up in the corruption. And so there we are. And we're trying to work with you on Zoom. Koma andipanga ataki basi and palibe suchimene ngapanga ndifake Facebook here we are. Ari sukumveka bobo network thing. Now ndimafuna unena kuti zakuti corruption ndi nanu ku Malawi. Even mkulu woyang'anira mabwalo analembapo anzikamanda ananena zimenezi. The challenge that has been, so why has my work been unique? Why has my work on demanding justice as regards to economic justice by fighting corruption, why has it been unique? It's been unique because over the years people were saying kulikatangale ku makoti, kulikatangale kwa kuti, kulikatangale ku executive, kulikatangale ku parliament, kuma palibe amene amanena kuti akupanga katangale ndani. So when you don't want to fight something, that's what you do. You discuss in groups. You say, nyumba momo, mukuchitika zoipa, nyumba momo, anthu akupandana. Koma sumunena kuti akupandana ndani. So it means you don't want to hold people accountable. You don't want to end the fight. That's why when I came up, I said, judiciary, kuli corruption, and Ken Manda is corrupt. Boom! That's what caused the whole chaos. Everyone was, what? How much like any man. And then people came, he was post manager, just a postage. And then when I do interviews, people have said this good. Now, mabanga posti, kina kuzinduzi kumaona mawaso kuzipesa. Wiki kumata, uzidi post as delete. Why would I delete things that are on? I'm being honest. That's why there was an effort to silence me. That's why there was an effort to sue me, and that's why the judge did not sue me because he has evidence to show that I tarnished his character. I mean, he doesn't have a character to protect. Not Ken Manda. No one will tell you that Ken has got a character to protect. Which character? What are you talking about? Ken Manda ni mirandumina Sunday magesa homuda ndaula kuti this is judgment but we now cover corruption. So at least we can prove incompetence, and incompetence cannot be good for his character. But obviously there's more. I've got the clear evidence of him being corrupt in the cases that he handled, and there are a lot of lawyers with evidence. You check. There's my issues are empirically proven. You can prove this by empirical evidence. Kudi mubide ku commercial court ya Blanta from the time imene again manda naka president commercial court manager pamene anzika manda anachosa again manda ku Lilongwe kutawa nkhani ya ma filling station parliament time ine ifuna kuachosa again manda chifukwa chokuti anapangana ndi Gangata Alfred Gangata si Gangata wina Alfred Gangata imwe anapangana ndi Edgar Kajere lawyer ameneyi mbava yotheratu chigawenga Edgar Kajere ndi chigawenga and Malawi society imamuweta ende pano kai president amene ali Malawi society ndi best friend kuyambira wa Kamuzu Academy akhali limodzi ndipo amayimbira limodzi ndi ajanya mata amayimba kuti ntchito zinaanza nganzo kwetekesa ntchito zinaanza nganzo kwetekesa amene acha amati Edgar ndi Davis. How can you be very close to a corrupt person and not be corrupt? There's no way. There's no way. There must be something that brings you people together, So Padopande Sanga Gundine now nimaone the meeting of lawyers, the general meeting, annual general meeting, AGM. And then there was a section where you had the junior lawyers, a separate event where you had to have lawyers empower these young lawyers. Amaga pasa chilimbikiso maloya ang'ono kapena maloya amene akuyamba kumene kupeza kuti president aja kumene kujako akhalapa pambali pawo pali Edgar Kachere. I was like, this is bullshit. Tampaseni moni Edgar now is our president. Tampaseni moni nda president anagwira paka nanandi josesa magroup wose ama lawyers anandi jose. But they don't know that when they did that, they removed weight because people were poking me every time. Hey, wekamangira, hey, amatumiza timamesena. So kumaloya zikuso kule ajina tamia ajina hana jabe stiliko. Timahana jabe stotumidwa. This is goba. Kumaloya kuso tindini ajina bagini munuzi atu. So makala busy, hey, wekamangira, hey, ukupamba, hey, ukunyoze sa profession. Then makala busy kuwa tita fine. I don't keep words. I call out things. So I'm a Indian town. Now, me and Bangan, but me don't know when it's a no kind in town, Malembadu, Magalada, Obita, who SCB. Nibo, Zangoyamba. We know your man is a new command on our life. That's what I wanted to say, actually. Maybe they might close me out on Facebook. I just have to be clever to say that after Friday, because on Thursday, I'm discussing in Pinganjira in detail. Actually, I'm discussing FDH Bank. FDH Bank, how in Pinganjira, because in Pinganjira had an Iron Man conference in the Bushiri in Zagawaja. But they haven't told you who the bank is anagula banji. Ndipo ndama nazi tenga good. Ndikuuza ni mena na bela banki manager. For FDH Bank is ana basu. Kina unguzani bela sani MSB Bank. Imenenali banking ndi tu eni yawo jainali ka FDH kana ikanthumba kumangameno sana basa kwantu they umboni ulipo these things they are there That's why they don't sleep with me. That's why, they fail to sleep. They fail to have a good sleep at night because I call them out. So whenever you see Mpinganjira Uja, my lawyer, all those lawyers are corrupt because you can't be close to Mpinganjira and not be corrupt because Mpinganjira is the definition of corruption. All his life is being ukuluku. It's not even being because people no, he's a business tycoon, he's a business mind. He stole everything that he has. And that's what he has known. What he knows is stealing. Another inside dealing in terms of my shares, FDH Bank, Kwagwesa, and Zawa Bank, and my shares are mbili, but that's not the reason for this. But in Mangofuna, now, they're in Mpinganjira, Jakaman, Claude, Kamangira Uja. Do you know how dangerous that is for a billionaire, for the richest man in your country to be mentioning my name, to be mentioning my name in bad light like that when he's trying to inspire people and he calls me like that, and your government can't even think of protecting me for 2 years, can't think of providing security for me, exposing me the way they have. You people are down. Like you people are stupid. Like Malawians are stupid. You see, Malawians are stupid. We look the other side. Ajina Baba Mulondela, they were doing an investigation. They were doing an inquiry where they were calling people. Anything. All they were doing was to hear people giving testimonies. All they were doing is to call people. That's what Ajina Baba Mulondela, Ajina Noel, Ajina Dosi, all those MPs in that committee. But guess what? A week into that, even before a week, they come out to say, our life is in danger. And how do appears? Inspector General, on security. Yet, they did not call anyone out. They didn't do anything. They should speak to what they know. Guess what? Alexius, since September 2024, has been calling out people directly. And these are powerful people, including Chakwera. I'm calling the president being corrupt. And you didn't think, I need protection as a country. But my MPiano, for calling people to give evidence, we are a sad nation. But that is changing. Not anymore. I'm taking a break on social media because I've got a little work to do. And now, there are other people that God has raised. Because in Kondo yi do sukuti Kondo yi yet sizinga kukhala kuti pakana kuti nena kuti we are stupid. Geoffrey Kumwenda, you are stupid as Malawians. You are stupid. You grab hands from Mpinganjira. You roll the red carpet for him when he has stolen money from you. When he has stolen Ajina Mansour Karimu, he's a clear criminal. Karim, with the banks, even National Bank, in fact, National Bank. Like serious. Like serious. School. Of course, student Magenda. I've always not supported violence because my great granny, Medicine Solombela, fought Kamuzu, and he used violence, and he died in the end. He was murdered by Kamuzu through the death penalty. He was murdered. It was murder, nothing else. He was murdered, but he was fighting for freedom, Malawi, and no one talks about him. He was a freedom fighter. He was fighting against Kamuzu. Kukaba mifuti kumangoji polisi kuja kukutana na kalwa muchile kamuzungu mabanga, and of course anana panga betray anani muntu amai anai ndidelira waga anana panga betray. But what is my point? My point is the banks are part of the corruption. Obviously, FDH Bank is a criminal entity. But I was discussing the fact that corruption is real, and the corruption in Malawi ndione na kuti sikuti ndiyo chiti timachita kunena kuti ilipo pamene palibe. We know ilipo. For years it has been protected not only by the cartel but even the institutions that are meant to fight the corruption. And there's this NPA boss Batohi, who said we cannot prosecute our way out of corruption. Only ethical leadership and systematic reform is what can take us out of corruption. But then you have Frank Mbeda as Attorney General. How is that ethical leadership? If you have Zija as the Chief Justice, how is that ethical leadership? If you have Ravmo Pochikopa ngati Deputy Chief Justice, how is that ethical leadership? If you have Ken Man ngati head what division ya court, commercial court, how is that ethical? You can't deal with corruption if the people that are leading institutions are corrupt themselves. If you have mukabineti muja ngati muli ndi munthu otakuyankha milandu ngati Norman Chisale and put him in cabinet, and cabinet kumusiyasa ku homeland. How can you deal with corruption? Because he's leading. But that's why you see that and who onena kuti anapha lule apolisi oti anapha lule DP yabwera akumukhulukira. You know, that's why you see kuti Faustino Maere, how can you have Faustino Maere ngati director of public prosecutions when the lawyer wage personal lawyer wampinganjira has been a personal lawyer wampinganjira? There's not even a question about it. And then that's why you see akubanga withdraw or discontinue magesi ana matanga. Magesi unena kuti a woman. Now let me tell you how angry this makes me. Withdraw discontinuous yagesi yana matanga is a crime in itself. And the parliament, I'm watching you. Zomwe zanchitikira baba na andi zango yamba baba Steven uja alimadza amenoja kumaliza, you know, amenoja kumaliza sangane ni nyanya ndifake defense yake akuyankhula zake zopepera zija. I wish. So that's why you see kuti anthu amene amatibera waso anthu osazindikira, they are not clever. You know, they are not even clever because we have made it so easy for people to steal from us and comfortably they move on. No one holds them accountable. It's time to change, you know, and it's possible. And that's why you see abambwa amene ndinde vungazaini ngoti ozaonza wisdom. He has wisdom beard. I wish I had beard like that, white beard. Before asana pange kati because ndevu izindimeta pompano akangopanga president akangopanga zolongo soka ankukuta moyo akangopanga zolongo soka ndime kumalisana mete chifukwa cha zimene akupanga mkulu amene ujaya kuyankhula ndi hair white ndi paint is white is paint white for a day or two just to show solidarity ndi ndala amene uja kuti anthu akulu kama yankhula tonse timayina kuti umvetsere fa akulu ndi mdambo mozimira moto. And I'm excited when I see wisdom in the words that are coming ahead. You know, I'm excited. And sometimes more just almost a town. You know, but that's what happens in life. You see that kesi ya namatanga. See my inner kwanga withdraw. A lady who was a director ku Eskom Huja. Anapanga resign. Kwisi nchiro ya bwino yota maji bwino imampasa ndalama just because she wanted to be a witness to the case. And anaka win ndima nabereka umboni. Kisi cha kuzango ipanga withdraw Faustino Maere. He's a man without a soul. Ndi muntu wankhaza. Ndi muntu wanena kuti saganza kawiri kata. Does he know the law? Criminal law? He's an excellent lawyer, Faustino. No one should cheat. Is Faustino Maere brilliant? He's brilliant. Faustino Maere is brilliant, without doubt. But that's what happens. The system takes the brilliant amongst us. Kodi magamba za mabanki zoka genda ku National Bank tina kantu kuti ndife anthu tina khala kuti ena fendi fantaji polobe zitakuza ndi kagendeni ku National Bank ku headquarters kuja chifukwa chani andi mabanki ena onsewa mabanki onsewa kwena atsekedwa apangidwe investigated SB FIA Fiscal Police and Reserve Bank of Malawi. Issue ya Forex. Zimene amabanga Karimu Mwansa Karimu. Kwa kali mutu amatenga ndalama ma forex yanu imene maina kumatenga inu mukamapita kunja even ana school mukamalipira mayeso maina kuma ndalama yolipira mayeso maina kumasowa inu mwawe kuja mumalipira anthu kulipira even Netflix $3 $5. How can you fail to pay $5? The reason is tindalama tosatenga mpasa Karimu kaya iwaja Karimu jama gula ndalama imene jayo pa 2,000 iya maigulisa pa 5.5 pa 4,000 and you have been watching that. Benedicto Koma amene ndi ku financial advisor motivation janjanjan zopusa zenzeni anabandalama Koma uyu bena Koma and he knows it. Anabandalama ku NBS kuja kuba kwake ndi kumene kupanga madilu ndi anthu ajina Karimu janjanjan forex jamwe gulisa modu ayo kumapindua. We are a selfish country. We are a selfish people where we can sell our nation for peanuts. And the saddest thing is the biggest beneficiaries. Corruption in Malawi, 70% amabanga benefit in their money. You know, that's the most different causes go on. And if we don't have pride, but this generation is different. We are going to change. Exactly. Tuna account wa serious set. Ma National Bank mina bera ndama National Bank ya jamina na bera ndama za America. In fact, okay, we'll do a day. By the way, ndango kuya anopa. A day where we will say the lolo National Bank asasegura akatsegura zao. Yeah, panopa nonde ilagwe. We would have a day yomwe National Bank has to be closed abweze ndama za civil servants. And ndifuna civil servants ma representative aforokoze bwino kuti akupanga puchani pankhani za ndalama zawo. And we want the government of my five peso ankukuta mohead mukapanga report yanu zanu fa ene ya parliament akupanga report yao takuza I think hands up is very complicated. I mean, you need to have some intelligence. I mean, you can't blame me for wanting you to be a little bit intelligent to understand me. Can you blame me? Because God gave everyone intelligence. So kama kuti wendo panda nzeru. So kuti zimakhala Mungu sana kupange sana kupasa nzeru. Wina yese Mungu anampasa nzeru. Komano zimakhala kuti antunu simukugwirisa ntchito nzeru zanu. You are lazy. You are lazy. Everyone has given, God has given you intelligence and wisdom. But kama kuna ni nopanda nzeru vuto suri ni Mungu ada osa munane samena na mlenga Mungu ndwanze yes Mungu amatipanga nzeru koma is a God of free will timaina upanga decide. So we are saying we have a day where National Bank has to close kuti simusegula zakasigula business koma saza segula for akazango segula simene ndekuti yamba sopa mali yake abweze ndalama zatu abweze ndalama za civil servant. And we want finance minister mwanamveka mbavai. I hope ebi mamuchosa mwansanga whoever is the minister of finance the ministry minima endesa za pension department I think Minister of Justice is involved as well, but the Minister of Finance anthu amene anapanga retire amboma mupeze njira nina kuti anthu asakhale more than 2 years asana ndi ndalama za mupeze ndalama ngati ndalama mumagulira mahotelo ophulika achikamphulukire or mahotelo ngati Amaris mukuyenera kuti mukhale ndi ndalama. Anyway, let me go back nali pa introduction methodology ya paper yanga sinanga andilanda zoom ije ndezi zabalisa kaya fan hamaina aziona kuti kuchitika njani koma I have the things and I can still share then these kamba zintu zimoti muzingomva kuti ndikuti chani. So this paper the methodology that I've used, I use a critical social legal theory. So social legal theory looks at the law as it is on paper, but it goes beyond what is being provided for to what is supposed to be. So it looks at the practicality, background. So my paper doesn't just end at what the law provides, but it looks at how the law operates, as it were. So I look at law and practice. So moving away from theory to practice, moving away from rhetoric to action, as it were. I also use doctrinal, doctrinal, and then there's also issues of investigation. So as regards to investigation, it's about forensic investigation. So I've got a forensic expert that has given me data on corruption in the judiciary. Achina wapona kita aja ma judgment amena malemba nguka pasa ma judge. I have evidence to that. Kuti wapona kita amalemba nditu zigamulo kampasa Ken Manda. Evidence yonai pangakale capture. Ola dinayo nditu. Uyu ndani uyu Edgar Kajera amalemba nditu chigamulo kukango mpasa judge. Majaji amena majeza nao maka uyu Ken Manda. Kasambara Raf Kasambara. In fact, idea many enjoy ya Raf amalemba zigamulo amulembera chikopa Raf mochikopa amalembera majaji social masiana Raf ndamena nani Raf Kasambara Raphael I mean, I'm not Raf, I'm Raphael. Even Raphael okay. Then ena sasa anajita kutengea kwa Raphael Kasambara amalembera majaji zigamulo maka huyu Love Mochikopa. So Love Mochikopa is also very intelligent. Komano ndwa ulesi. Kuyambi ali student sa ankalo class. You know, ankalo class up and down. He's a brilliant guy, but ndwa ulesi. So Zimene zimamuno ulesa kuti Raf was average as an individual. Nzeru zake za yewe. Raf was average. Amina mamuzua Raf Kasambara puno. He was average, but he was the hardest person. The most hardworking person, sorry. The most, what can I say? Anali Olympic kuposa ali in the room. Raf was sleeping 2 a.m. every day. You know, Raf Kasambara, I've gone to his house, Raf. When in 2021, I met Raf. I will not mention the lawyer that I went with, Kunyumba wa Raf Blanta. Koma, when the Supreme Court changed the COVID decision, I had to look at the mind, the brain, you know, because Raf mastered the procedure, the law of procedure. Why? Because he was reading, and I book kulina lose nemu ngafunira mamo. Ndenda mpeza kunyumba kwake ndikukhala mene ndikumuona kuti chimuntu jiji amangu he was just living in books. That's one issue. Raf Kasambara was the most hardworking lawyer in Malawi. I can challenge you that. But he was also the most corrupt lawyer in Malawi. Raf was criminal. You know, Raf, Dizagamba Sigulina, Zaraf, may his soul rest in peace. Mulungu be amata kuti khulubira majumu atu. Ifakatolika tima khulubira choncho. Chifukwa chikondi cha Mulungu, chifundo cha Mulungu chilibe malire. Timayimba. Chifundo cha Mulungu chilibe malire, malire. Then ndifake ni kama mnena SKC. Kuti ndinaye chimbava ndipo chinaba chili machini mafuna kuti apolomoke ifa Mulungu atakukhulira munthu atamwalira ife akatolika timakhulupira choncho ino ngati mwe ndizikhulupiro zanu khalani nazo. So we have a PhD holder in forensic investigation who has proven kunena kuti ajina wapona kita aja amalemba zigamulo for Ken Manda, ajina Rafu amalemba zigamulo kumaso ajina ndia ngapo nditu ma process ma process. So that's it about methodology. Ndina zakamba za normalization of abnormalities. Then mafuna unena kuti ndiambe ukamba corruption. What is corruption? Sindi tukamba pa Facebook, ndiba Facebook sizi ndizonena kuti zikamba kuti what is corruption. Komadingo nina is an act of receiving gratification with corrupt intent to do or forbear an act. So Section 3 of the Corrupt Practices Act defines what a corrupt practice is. And I will not bear that, but I just want you to grab this. Anyway, let me share that. Let me not just be somebody who says history is the best teacher and not say anything about history. In what way? Section 3, what a corrupt practice is. It says the offering, giving, receiving, obtaining, and soliciting of any advantage to influence the action of a public officer or any official or any other person in the discharge of the duties of that public officer, official, or other person. Now, I've written a letter to SCB complaining on Baba Mulondela. What I'm saying there is kunena kuti iye uja analandira ineyo zimene kunena nizonena kuti analandira chiphuphu njolinga kuti zitani kodi apange influence decision yake ntchito yake ya public imene amapanga public inquiry ababa abwera ndi defense yawo kuti iya ikamangira ndiwe oyipa umafuna kuti ineyo ndi mpulumuse SB acting XP director ineyo ndinakana chiphuphu ine so actually there was corruption. Of course baba munda kuna anaenda 65 million ya umboni ndi now okwana koma umboni osinga kupasi niyo simesa kuti kupita ku court kupita ku court mukana usama bwese umboni pa Facebook upita nazo ku court now abita ku SB tipita ku court here bwese pa Facebook tuone mufuna nyani. Yeah, so what happened there, whether you take my words or you take what the defense so far has been, there was a corrupt practice that happened there. So actually my Baba has legitimatized my complaint. In fact, ACB has to act quickly now with what Baba responded. With what Baba responded by Facebook, but ACB has to make sure kuti zosezo zitane kuti ziende fanthu aja kwena mangidwe komanso chiripoti chawo chija akachitaye mu toilet chifukwa sangapange ripoti opanda ogulidwa munthu amene anagulidwa ali kutiko. How can you try to make a report opanda ogulidwa kubwera ndalama zogulidwa tandi anaendesa bwanji fa kumene kunapita ndalama. Follow the money. My professor, Lady Ngei Kanyongo, used to like to say, follow the money. That's where we are at. We need to follow the money. Drama is Matusa, in accordance with Grass 5.5 billion. Follow the money. Drama is Mapita Kuti. Mapita Wainababa. Mapita Wajan. Ajinababa just 65 million. One man, never 65 million. Mukwana so Adundosa Ugadu Malawi. Ndamphawi anthu ajamangoona pa TV paja kumaona ngati ndani anthu kuti alibe anthu ndi anthu kuti anjala nthata za njala nthata za njala zimene zijazo zonena kuti kandalama kanene konse zimafuna kuti zipezepo kanthu komano ndalama zimene ali anthu achani zambiri ndithu sungamatosedwe ku National Bank kuti ndalama zonse zija basi achina dose aja osalandira achina dose aja kuti mafufuzi mwapeza apanira and I mean, now. Okay, the definition of what a corrupt practice is under Section 3 of the Corrupt Practices Act also talks about influence peddling. It also talks about extortion of any advantage. Now, what is important now? What is an advantage? And that's where I wanted to say. But because of what Baba said, I just wanted then to say whatever I had indicated earlier, what I've just mentioned. But it defines what an advantage is. It says, an advantage means any benefit, service, enjoyment, or gratification, whether direct or indirect, and includes a payment, whether in cash or in kind, or any rebate, deduction, concession, or loan, and any condition or circumstance that puts one person or class of persons in a favorable position over another. This is very important. Now I continue to discuss corruption. Every day we discuss corruption. Collins again. Collins in the muntu wakuba mbili ni mbava. Collins ni mbava. He thrives in corruption. And Collins ndazi nzake ndazi na gangada aja akumana mizira anthu ena akunyumba ya chifumu ku State House kucha akumana mizira family ya president. So I've gotten information. Because even in I was given information, ndamazi zina antu akudi mauje ma whistleblower ndama zina zapita kwa mwana wao kuti wakoti machula ana akubanja ya chifumu kwapita kwa amai mwakuti kuifufuza nkhani je kuona kuti amai sakuziwapo kanthu mai wa dziko sakuziwapo kanthu. So what I have realized aina gangatawa achina Collins magrasi akuwagwisa ntchito anthu amboma ena kubanda ama akumayuza dzina State House akumayuza president koma anthu akuwawo pasuti akuzote kukuta moyo APM akune kuti na ulendo uno mwina mbuyo mutha kundamizira koma ulendo uno APM sakupanga zakatangale kuti iyeyo mungandamizire. So what they are doing now, they are using the people that are close to APM kwa paka ndicho ninga choti wani mwapase zomwe akufunazo katangala ndifake atapita ku National Bank. Their word was going out in ndalama zikupita ku State House. Ndalama zichaso zikabedwa kuti mufufuze apolisi ajanjani akuopsezedwa kunamiza kuti chitita ntocha manja zinthu zikukhuza na a president ndithu. So that's it. Ndeti kuina kuti tipange reviews mezo kuti anthu amene mugwira ntchito mboma ka private sector don't get involved in the corruption yachina ka Anuma Chisale ka ndani ma minister, any minister don't get involved because a president is kuakhuza, neither is ana president kaya akubanja kwa president kaya uncle wa president kaya gogo wa president asana mizidi ajina Collins Magrasi sizi kuakhuza. From my investigation iniyo mukhuza kufufuza pa iniyo mukapeza information yanu ndibasa umboni, I'll be very happy to have that evidence. Okay, so today Nimajeza Ndi professor, one of the great professors of the world, who has taught me, he's from University of Malawi. I will not mention his name. So he was telling me actually that this concept, a dissident under the Soviet Union, under Stalin, under Soviet Union, kurasha kumene kukalero anthu amene amasusa bomu amaana mizira kuti akudwala misala, ndipo amatenga ndiko ama Jackson, ndipo amafa chifukwa ma Jackson aja ndipo amanaza kuja kutandana. So those that have read history, amene amaziwa history is the best teacher, would know that you can't call Alexius Kamangira mad or a crazy person, because this is something that was already being done under Soviet Union. So history is the best teacher, who mean that anyone who is calling Alexius Kamangira crazy or insane or losing it is the one who has lost it and doesn't know how history operates. Just wanted to put that out. You can read, just write Soviet Union dissident insanity or mental health and all that. So they amana mizira amabwera mwansanga sanga oli akuduma bagira president kwambiri now. I have trust in APM, so I've given APM all my trust, and that has not changed until when he gives me a reason not to trust him, and he knows who kind of person I am. APM knows what kind of person I am. Chakwera knows what kind of person I am. You do think so? When I got money now, I would be 62 million. Mungo zefusa na wudi. Njito menda kandu kuya for 2 years. Ndapumisa antwangati. Nkani ya corruption. Ajina wakeni manda aja. Anasauka tu bana ajina geni manda. Do you know that ajina geni manda anasauka? Akuja zonga na bagale. Koba drama za guba. How you spend it. Zima siana ni drama zo gwira nchito. Ajina Edgar Kajere. They are selling their properties. And the SCB, actually, Pompa now be writing a letter, Ningo Urula, a letter in relation to Edgar Kajere. They are selling their properties because they are no longer getting money that they were getting through Ken Manda, So the evidence of corruption is due. Like, that was not a joke when I said that, and it wasn't a misspoke. Umboni uli diu wena umajida kupanga confess pa Facebook. History is the best teacher. Nisikuza ninewa menda pozia history kaya. Ana inu mabanga banja Malawi. Musamapu usea Malawi. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that. That's how matriga mena ubayuza ina Collins. The question that I had when I was doing this paper, these questions are not the questions of the thesis, or that helps me to answer the thesis of the paper. They are just questions that made me think. So I was asking myself, who engages in corrupt practices? Could in the andale body, it was self identifiable andale okanda many they participate in corruption. What is the solution then? If you andale in the minama banga participate in corruption, audi Napoli no nizombe ndo oda ninanga bwana sina mfufuze. It's not like I know everyone, I know amina kuberani the most critical ones. So amina kubani kwa sindi kwazi yoko mamini ali critical amina kumabandra mazodi akusokonza economy. ndikwaziwa. So Napoleon na Zombe, I mean Napoleon is Zombe, sinampanga investigate. I have not investigated him, and he hasn't given me a reason to investigate, because people usually give me a reason for me to investigate them. You know, I don't just go out there because shooting in the free time. I'm a very busy person. You know, I wish I was even doing more things that are more productive to me, but I've chosen that I should do something that is more productive to Malawians of today, of tomorrow, and of Malawians to come. This work, the work that we're doing, you know, it's generational work. Why we are finishing off, we are ending industry that has created the generational wealth for people. There are families in Malawi that have created generational wealth, but it's from corruption. Now, if I'm dealing with that industry, a multi-trillion dollar industry, you think kuti mutangandipa 60 million kuti ndikhalejete, mutangandipa 100 million kuti ndikhalejete. Ineyo ndinebagiri mu Zija. Ineyo sinebagiri mu TV kuti mutangandipa 60 million kuti ndikhalejete. Because I know what I'm doing is valuable. You know, I'm more, you know, I can make 60 million in one day. I can make 60 million one day. Zabwino mwino usati zakuba. Zabwino mwino. I'll be a billionaire. Let me tell you. Okay, so I'm not searching to be a billionaire because I'm already a billionaire in heart. In the impact I've done, I'm more than a billionaire. The impact I've done, not when I started, just when I started fighting corruption in Malawi. When I was in kuskulu kuchanko. The work that I did kwa Tomalan, you know, going with other students to educate the village, Tomalan village. Muga nifufuze, alima journalist yangu Malawi, muga fufuze kuti Alexius ali kuchanko, ankapanga jani. Muga bite kwa Tomalan, muga fufuze kuti kuna nyamata wina wake, ankapanga lo, ankachela uta abusa. People used to call me abusa, and you know, I'm a Catholic. Catholics don't, you know, call themselves pastor. Kumano, as go kwa meeting ka Samalira. They started calling me Abusa. These are things that are there. But in Papu Chanko, they are shy to talk about my story. Because in Papu Chanko, who I am. So all my life that I've lived, favored Chikondi Musa, my man. Yes, here I am. All my life, my integrity cannot be bought with 60 million, because my integrity is worth a lot. Yeah? Ndia magamba bagiri muruzi za Philip Kamangira. Ampasira Philip Kamangira. Makodi zimesa mbanira wali neyo ndi mwana wa Nsembe kodi. Sono za Philip Kamangira za chokeraso kodi. Eh? Zimesa mbadili ne mwana wa Nsembe. Philip Kamangira so mwana wa Nsembe. Philip Kamangira ineyo akudi Philip Kamangira ni nkulu wanga. Investigate tapanga ni bwino majona mumbe mukampange interview Philip Kamangira. Akasafana ne maina bazigo basi ikale issue meneo antopusa ino. Anyway, SCB has been fighting corruption. Mafusa. Who engages in corruption? What is the solution? It's not the ballot paper. The solution is Section 12. Because Section 12 allows us to hold our president accountable before waiting for 5 years. You know, every year, because of our analyze. The second year, and first Section 12 allows us to do that. Whether that is worker, is it Takutega, is it Engraifeo, Kamalatu? Ne Kamalatu, Kanga. Awundi sokoneza magaiza kufuna kuti basi musamveso more information from me, but here we are. Kama tu limene timaonesa pochimwa, kama limene loso tilionese polimbana ndikatangaye osa kwa mphwayi no forward ever. Then mafusa kuti who is responsible for corrupt practice. Amene amapanga kapupulo ngati tikunena kuti ni wandale ndi amene afuna awina kumenya nkhondo yothana ndikatangaye. Ndimapeza kuti tikunena kuti akupanga katangale ndi andale, timayembekeza kuti so andale omwe onse atimenyere nkhondo yothana ndikatangale. Like, what are we talking about? Do we expect the same parliament which is full of politicians who we claim they are the ones that are doing serious corruption that affect the country. We expect them also to fight corruption. You see how, I mean, misala mamo, my one ano misala, I mean, misala. Misala ndi mene muntu akubera nyumba muja. Ndio umebe kizadu muntu amene akubera nyumba mo. Ataniso muntu amene akubera nyumba mo so iye so apeze kuti ndi amene so akwakukwira so akuba kusikwira yekha gwi. That's one of the questions that that I had. So maybe do we expect SCB to end corruption? Fear, kabena fiscal. Who appoints my leadership positions of this? I mean, I'm a sanka. I mean, that I carry my leadership position. That's me saying the andale omoyo. So and who sankidwa the andale? Do we expect them to fight corruption? Umwa kubanga andale. The famous citizens are making among the fight corruption. You know, and also if you also kind involved in corruption by even just looking the other side, by not doing something about the situation. That's part of corruption, and that allows the corruption. So I'm not saying there's no solution. There's a solution. Exactly. It's madness to do this very same things and accept different results. Exactly. Agudia, you come and get corruption pa Facebook. Peter wanene WCB guy. Eusa kanena WCB and fakala wanena WCB. Facebook lero ife corruption ya tutimenye na social media. Tipanga name, shame, and then fight. You know, it's not just name and shame and then you go, because these people are shameless. Aina mpinganjira je, they are shameless. Aina bushira je. Kuni mungombea ma interview ya bushira tatu. Muona ma lies amino wapanga amino jai. Sibu ya na kwa interview. You don't even need you should be an investigator. Just look at his videos, the things he says. You know, video mina nabanga papa ndiwanda amakamba zintu zo munena apart from munena ene video wa misala, which he was not even brave enough to call me, because he knows ndi mwana kwambiri Bushiri ndi mwana in regards to spirituality, intelligence. Bushiri ujasangandi uze niza spirituality, and za mulungu of course za mulungu ndi ubale wa iwe ndi mulungu wako. So ngama pangane challenge kuti ine ndine ganga wa mulungu, ine ndi mwana wenu wa mulungu. Mulungu amasankha kuti mwana wake ndi utiyo. Koma chimene ndikunena kuti Bushiri ni mwana ndifuata amayuza zina la mulungu kubera anthu. So munthu amene amayuza zina la mulungu kubera anthu, munthu amene yonse ngamakhale naye kumamuopa mu spiritual yam. You guys are mad. Like the way you worship the criminals, you know, including, so Bushiri mpamvu zake nzonena kuti we have a population that respects religious people no matter what they do and who they are, and then they also criminal. So hiyo je combination chigoba ni chigoba rameje ni chigoba cha prophet ama vala chigoba cha prophet nje amapanga so za corruption, then ndi kombio option imene jayo chifukwa amapepelesa anthu mpingo muja chanchana kuendesa mpingo. You see my videos I mean wakhala kupanga pakati bango kamba tu za president wa business. Kuti is a businessman. He's not even talking about banoba vinyo wateratu. So no do mulaka malio jandi prophet. Then ndikuuze nedi anthu maona kuti prophet akaini mpingo. Mulaka malio nedi. He's not just a musician. Mulaka malio is a prophet. You should listen to songs of Mulaka. Ajina Sanjala Lemba. That guy is a prophet. You know, and when he say vinyo water, he was not only saying of the incidents in many magic at that time. Asana joke South Africa uja. Mina atamba na sondi Bushiri, of course. Vuta again the mina atama yankula zintu. Zomwezi magic moja ata yambana. We want the people that will talk about Bushiri asana yambani, because they the legitimacy. Kamena inyo mupeleke information yomo muli nayo yolondwa kwa anthu amene sana yambane mu Bushiri, because mukayambana ndi Bushiri they will just dismiss you with it. But no, I want to congratulate and also to strengthen Peter Sambo for his strength, for what in a Peter Sambo adamanga interview yake yomwe sana nyoze Bushiri nazana ndi ndala meja takuya rusanje naseka because I would see how clever he was and how he was walking on glass, you know. He was walking on glass, like he was, you know, tiptoeing, you know. When sauta samnyoze Bushiri koma muthu wake si Bushiri uja akapeza mpata yo jama kumaliza. Bushiri uja none uli kukubeza paweka akumaliza, you know, akudula mutu ndi munthu oipa, you know. So strength, and we just pray for Peter Sambo for standing out and all that, because the problem is good, he has been part of that system, so it's not easy when you are part of that to come out. So the same things now banga Peter Sambo, we expect Ajina Patience Nambaningo to come out over Ajina Karim. So now banga Peter Sambo is just swina isa mlanga bango Patience Nambaningo sa kwenda kutuza information yokuza ina Monsa Karim, because akuziwa hiyo jamani rondani many maende. Anyway, what happens when a corrupt practice occurs? Nthawi zambiri tikangugira munthu timatani mukuziwa kale, timapembeza, Cashgate imene inaendera. You had Cashgate, the banks were enablers of Cashgate. Reserve Bank of Malawi was an enabler. What happened there? Did the parliament make legislation to protect us from happening the same thing? No. If it did, we couldn't have been having Magalasi Collins Kumakatenga 5.5 billion within that period. In fact, anatenga 4.4 billion in 3 days. Cash. Mwana ngati cash imene mabira kuti. And the National Bank mwana ngati si maziwa kuti deal kwenda bwanji. You can't justify withdrawing 4.5 billion in 3 days. And if that was happening while we are discussing corruption in Malawi, the analysts or the accounts we are under conversation, under we tima secretary zinzopusa. The National Bank mpaka na panoba sinalembe statement, and no one cares what is going on with corporate governance ku National Bank. Ana wone sisa kuti drama zimene zijitike mene zachitikira zituluke, cash imeneyo banki makandi cash imeneyo kuti ikutani. Ineyo ndi mafusa ambiri koma let me continue. Then takambakali za Malawi judiciary kuti usually anthu amangoti palibe umboni palibe umboni. Nani nakayona kuti umboni ndi kuti ndi ambirimbiri. Umboni ndi umene wachuluka kuti tikusowa kuti tikafuna kuti right places tiperekere umboniyo. Tizachita kusankha kuti ine ndikukonda ndikambawo, maumboni ndi ambirimbiri. So zomwe palibe evidence kumankhawa uchizeteyo komanso kunyambita corruption kumalo osakhala bwino. Nimafusa unena kuti kodi mufuna chite kubola mimba yathu tutuluse matumbo athu kuti muziwe kuti pali umboni ndosayamba. Then ndimaonesa AIP kapena kuti za fertilizer ndalama zimene timagwisa ntchito kuti tigule fertilizer kena kwa alimi azigula mochipa, kuti njira imene ijayo ndi njira kapena kuti AIP ndi njira yotulusira ndalama kuti ma politicians ajagwise. So njira ina yonse nthawi zonse ndalama zimapeza kuti zimapanga. So napereka example pali settlement imene anapanga Africa Investment Group Limited ndi Farmers Fertilizer Revolving Fund of Malawi versus the Attorney General, Minister of Agriculture and Minister of Finance and the Malawi Fertilizer 4. Muona unena kuti wapona gita anasaina limodzi ndi ali kinsoya ndipo anasainira so nda Attorney General. Anthawi imeneyo ndalama zimene anthu amene anatenga ndi $30 million. 30 chakuti million $. Mwina 35 million, $38 million. And panali article semene atuluka za zimenezi. Muona unati boma linaleta pereka kali ndalama zake kuma third party imene iwo anapanga contract ndamene anasokoneza kuma ndithu mpaka na iwo aja ndikulandira liability ndikusainirana ndikupasana zima million. Kuma deal yonse amapanga ndi advisor wachakwera wa State House wa religion uja anathamangisidwa ku State House nthawi nake ifaja chana kuti choloyesa bill mu parliament zomwe zinaliso za fake, panaliso zambirimbiri kena kumntu chana zasira. Then makamba za corruption kuti ukamenyana ndi corruption amene akuzunzikanso kwambiri corruption amayamba so kumenya iweyo, and then mapereka example ya kuti corruption is like slavery. The house nigga amateteza kwambiri ti anthu timene tikupindula pang'ono timateteza bwana mpinganjira kwambiri sungachule timateteza bushiri mapeto, timateteza gangata mapeto, teteza achina Collins aja tanyamata tazipani toti tikuyenda bear, tilibe son sabato, tanyamata kuti kugona ninja ukaona mwene kuti peza nditi mene tikuteteza mapeto kuteteza sizinaoneke. Nimafuna nizimise computer hii fori sinasunthebe computer hii ili mene nali anthu athaweza adalo mu computer mu akufuna kupanga zawo anthu oyipa asatana. Yeah, anyway, kupezeka kunena kuti ukayang'ana anthu amene amavuta kwambiri, ndipo amene amapanga makani kwambiri nkhani ya corruption amakhala anthu kuti zinthu zikayenda mukathana ndi katangale zizapanganso benefit. Anyamata timene ku conference yayo ni chamati pasa 1 million. Ndandoti maposti ndekuti alemba maposti onyoza kamangira ndipo ayankha makomo akutukwana koma ndikapulumutsa iwacha kuti momwe azikapempha monyambitira makati mene apangira muja pakhale njira zonena kuti azipeza zinthu mwaokha ndipo zizitheka ndithu. So you see that the understanding ya zinthu imakhala yosiyana. Ndi ife amene tamvetsa bwino, ife amene tili ndi kuthekera, ndi amene timakhala ndi udindo waukulu othandiza ena kuti nawo satani kodi amvetse. So sinkhani yongosirana kapena ngona kuti Amalawi ndovuta, Amalawi sungakwanise. You do your part and then you wait for the rest to happen on its own. Ndikuganiza kuti pamene pandidumphire pati ndikambe ziti chifukwa computer hii sikutheka komanso takhala tikuyankhulana nthawi yayitali. Ndapeza mwayi woyankhulana nthawi yayitali chifukwa choti inuyo amene muli pa TikTok muzimvera message yanga ndi muzikafotokozera ena. I don't need to be on TikTok every time, but I try to be on TikTok. Koma ndikuphunziraso kukhala pa TikTok kuti nzikakufotokozerani. Ndi page yanga ija ndiyitsegula ya TikTok mukacheka Alexius Kamangira mukampanga follow mumpeza. Muziwa kuti uyu ndi Alexius Kamangira osati zinyawo zomwe zina zosiyana. Anyway, tikangana health sector yathu, zipatala zathu mulibe mankhwala komanso even the structures are poor zambirimbiri. Anthu amapita ku India mpaka na pano pena ku South Africa, yeti ndalama zimene timatumiza anthu ku India for 20 years ndi zambirimbiri kuti takumanga chipatala chathu. We are sad, and makamba za akabaza aja amabweresa umphawi muziko koma we are allowing them to be doing what they are doing because of corruption, institutionalization of corruption in the name of a vote, and all that. And makamba za emergency kuti tibe emergency response when accidents have occurred. All this is because of corruption, so kumwalira kwa SKC samenera kumwalira anakatha at least kulandira thandizo mwansanga kupezedwa at least kumwansanga ngozi cheda chitika ifa anthu pamene tinapeza mbali mwansewo. How did we spend like that? Never makes sense to me unless anthu ajangatana zabweresera kuzasiyidwa pamene pajapo. Kumano how was it possible kuti for 2 days timayangana anthu ali mbali mwansewo ngati choncho? No emergency systems to respond to accidents. Wina kunena za dialysis machines. Exactly. Dialysis machines, these are things that should be at every hospital. Every district hospital should have dialysis machine at least as a basic requirement. Kumandrama akugulira hotel. Koma nkhani imene inandila pulamu banji. Chifukwa ndali ndikumva madandaulo a year before, 2 years before, mene anthu a pension amavutikira, anthu akasiya ntchito osalandira ndi anangundisusulamu pabala, anangundisusulamu, imfa ya Sadiki Mia samayina kumwalira kumapua medical health sector. That's why Sadiki Mia would die like that. Professor Bingwa Mtalika mmazola na mwalira ifa kunalibe mankhwala. Ani mpaka na panopa zinthu zimene zinachitisa kuti Professor Bingwa Mtalika atisiye nthawi yake sana kwani sana zikonzebe mpaka na pano. And we allow people to be stealing money when we know kuti corruption inapa ngwazi. Professor asapita mtalika ngina kumati mmakonda DPP inuyo kumateteza Mwanamveka kumati mmakonda DPP kumateteza police maglass kumati mmakonda DPP kumateteza Frank Mbeta kumateteza Gangata kumati Gangata siwa DPP ka Gangata is a businessman Gangata siwa DPP Gangata ni mimi alili Bushiri ndi doba is a proper doba Gangata kumateteza Gangata kumani watu mmakonda DPP anaopanda nzewe asatana ndalama za COVID mene zinajidwela president akala ya jamati ya ndalama za COVID abweza amene mwaja abweza anabweza anaja ndalama you know then mafuna ngokamba hapo apapa foda hii nsachedwepo chifukwa ndatopa sonani kunena kuti independence versus accountability. The independence of the judiciary does not demand or depend on the absence of accountability. Accountability. Accountability is part of independence. You know, failure of which, so Judicial Service Commission, paka na pano amwini. Khani jamene na ndeni manina unena kuti. Ngama yangana dziko eti. Khani ya corruption, mzi wona ngati mene liyani, njoka hii. Kuti corruption ndi njoka hii ndipo kumutuku, ndi judiciary mene, kumene chima baya pa mwendo pako piu ndikuika po poison ndi mutu so judiciary imene ndi kumutu kwa katangale ndipo parliament ndi party iyi imene ndi parliament ndenjoka ija kuti iyende imafunika party imene izilongosoka parliament je imene matipanga guide pita nuku kabene apa parliament je imene je very critical in corruption malamulo amene amachitika pale pajabo legislation that enables corruption in Malawi and not fight corruption. You know, malamulo amene amainawo kuti athani ndi katangale kuti amangoshavidwa. You know, andale ajama khala landira. I went to Queen's kulibe buffet kulibe mankhwala and it has been like that for years. Dear finance bank boss exactly zimene ndazika papo executive ino ilo so ena amene fanya ni executive akamangira munayika kunchira kuti poison zimene samakhala huko poison jama khala kudama za joko huku kuyenda kudusa parliament kukankhira ndi muscles kuzayika uko judicial mechanism chui chikuti so tikafuna kupha tikuyenera kuti tidule mutu wala ndikuti tathana ndi corruption zonse izi zakanika kupanga corruption tikathana ndi chikopa uja timuchose madise timuchose kabanda timuchose nzikamanda azipita kenawo tibwere ku high court tichose ajina Ken Manda tichose even ku Supreme Court ndaiwa kalembera ndi wa corruption isamene tikapita ku high court Ken Manda amene uja amangoenda ku 5 amene uja in terms of being as a judge amene uja we're just stupid that we allow him to do that because here uja even corporate imakuza nati nkulu uyu anaonjeza koma simu sawa ina kuti achite kuonjeza kuti ajosedwe ujaji hello. You know, like, wake up. Muntu panga blanda imozi, corruption involved. Ajoge ku judiciary kuja. That's how we're going to do it. You know, zondi mvula. Ndi muntu waku ba for a long time. Hali majesty mbava. And we're still keeping him. Yeah, we're still keeping him because we are stupid people. Different hope pusa kwambi. Different home versus so on. Tikangana ku judiciary kuja even tikangana ma lawyers now tikabwera kwa ifanyake ma lawyers tikwena so nafe let me just do something I think I should do this might help so anzoni mvula azipita akenyata tachose mdeza timchose wakubandeza ni mbava wabandi Frank Mbeta for a long time ndeti kafika kuma lawyer ndi Frank Mbeta ayo the head of the bar chimbava choteratu you know chosavuka and gift nankuni audi spokesperson waja kwera mbava zokazoka gift nankuni ndwakuba gift katundu ma gift wabwanji kuli naos gift katundu mbava yoteratu tikangana lawyer ajina Edgar Kajira all they have been doing is stealing from people using financial institutions but also banking I mean different difufuze ndiza kuuza ndaweke kawana Maloya uba mbava kuma systematic and disciplinary committee. Why? They have gotten hold of the Malawi Lawless Society by the boss. Yes, Malawi Lawless Society because they cannot allow people to be continuing to be doing what they're doing. Koma osa itana kutizwa osa josa uloe andi osewa wajina Sylvester Ayuba ajina Chimwemwe Kaluwa ndantoli anapangidwa kuti achosele pa kuti atese acho uloya wawo kuti kumanaka ngotenga injunction ndikumaenda ndithu munyanga ndikumapanga matama down. What kind of disciplinary process are you doing? If someone akapezeka olava akangotenga injunction basi nkhani ithera pompo. We need so the Judicial Service Commission will fix a lot of things. That's why I'm worried that the professor Arthur Peter Mutharika is taking too much time to fully constitute the Judicial Service Commission. Maloya Uba Chigulu Maloya did 1,300. Kuma around 50. Ndimbava zona what we need to get kwa tosa and then is nzamba kwenda mwendo. So ajina Ayuba asa kwenda kwa Maloya chifukwa kuti umbava wao wafika palevo ina. And it's sad because in the antameneso mtundu wa ama ona kuti amene wa inu what you see muntu eti. Okay, so one of the things that you should know kuti muntu uyi there is something wrong. Utamene ama kuonesa kuti ndikulimbikiratu ine ndilibe kunchito panoba mawani. That's a security risk. Why do you tell people wake routine yako on Facebook, you know, or on WhatsApp? Kuti ndilibe kunchito ndipo bedi liko kuno ni magona kuno bedi. We know what you do with that bed, my friend. We know why you have a bed office, you know, Ayuba, you know. My secretary many more amba kulemba secretary ndifuna mwezi wa mawa ndifuna secretary. My point is we have allowed this, and the Malawi Law Society allowed this as well by allowing and to Mangotsegama law firm and Tony Nagudi, they need to be actually under a law firm and under supervision. And the reason was also abuse of junior lawyers. Maloya oda kuyamba kumeni ama gwisida nchito. Ama bangido exploit. The lawyers are very good at exploiting. Hadibali muntu umi na ndendi lawyer. Lawyers na umi na ndamema gwila nchito ni lawyer mzaa oni. You know, of course there are others that are good, like I worked for Napambo and company. He was modest, but Sanani Mutomina. He was modest because he was an old school guy. James Napambo is a solid guy, you know. I always say I always speak highly of him, you know. I will not talk about somebody else. In terms of being modest and in terms of taking care of his staff. I think also I worked for Bed and Company, I should say. Kudi, I don't think Kudi Amabanga Kaza, my employees are at this time in between 2017 to 2018, between that period, before I left for further studies, I went to Ireland to do a master's, which I passed with a distinction, by the way. Yeah, but my point being, Kudi, my law firms are made in terms of welfare and staff in Ariabuino, you know. But most lawyers are figure my junior lawyers are going to exploit. So that force my lawyers are kumaka tegula my office. Bwa makala uti paper jabo obangandala ma fees amena abwera ku office kujako ni 100 million. Pamwezi ya kulandira 500. Azivutika so ndi 500 so usapagi out of voodoo 100 million mabanga kwenda 500,000 mutu. You know, so I think some lawyers just started to mangosegwa my firm, no good supervision. That's why you have even George Jefferson company this lawyer wagu Zuzu amabali mozinda amadisi zamanyazi zinzin, you know, zoji samanyazi jaji ndi lawyer basi mawujira kwazo unzuzu kuni milandu ya mbili ya amadisi ndi George huyu amadi legal advisor MCP. How can you have a criminal being your legal advisor and you expect that party to fight corruption? That's why you have all the criminals going kwa George's Jefferson. Why? Because they know who is going to maneuver a corrupt system and get them free, Yeah, let me conclude because I'm feeling tired. When you look at Judicial Service Commission, you find a Judicial Service Commission anango this year's into Malawi. Why? Because they think good Malawi, Apanoba, Ndo, Disobas, Ayuala, I didn't need Chikapa. I need Milando Yambili Kulan's department. How can that person be Secretary or Judicial Service Commission? So, abnormalization of criminality. So, the time about many countries and calling Bigira, Kamangira should release evidence. Mogumbuki, my consent citizens, could I with my consent citizens? Stand Nigeria, Council Stand Nigeria, kwa ma consent citizens, kwa reason zigamanda, ili kutiku, amapanga compare kuti libelege evidence, amafuna jana. They wanted to know what I have. That's what they wanted. It wasn't anything. They wanted to know what I have. So, siku mene titamaliza upega maombone atu. Kuna pesa kuti ku office mena masunga maombone atu, kuna panyidwa. Office yoti ni building yoti muli office na nango asi anango panga target kumende mabele ka ombone ndikupanya panya komano achina chikapa akuna ngati kuti ife taiwala hayi nditu mutu ona mini zitaendele poisonous snake ni makamba za ku South Africa ni makamba za Zimbabwe, Zambia, then mapanga associated. There's a comparative analysis of corruption in the three countries that we had: South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Zambia, countries that are similar like ours. And then I analyze it in relation to Malawi. And then I look at Kamuzu, Bagiri Muzi, Bingu, Peter Mtalika, Joyce Banda, Dr. Lazi, Onseo, and Ndizao, Zojuruka. Then Mazangana, UTM, Chilima, Zao, even Nikaliadi, Nimaza Muyangana. Again, Nimaza Muyangana Masangi, Mubeba Mene, Nimaza Muyakabambe Ujanima Muyangana, Kabambe Uja, Zangi Nduzizi Waka. I know what is involved in, what he was involved in. My issues are again. That's why Kabambe can't lead the revolution, because he is implicated in corruption. Yes, that is Kabambe is implicated in corruption. So you can't lead the revolution. So Muhammad, the third revolution. Yes, you can want the third revolution in theory, but practically, Kabambe can't lead a third revolution because he's implicated in corruption. So I was saying, we no longer have civil servants, we have evil servants. But these are the senior ones. They are evil servants. Like Zamba Uja, she was an evil servant. And you should observe the SPC of this day, of today. In 2024, I made a point. In 2024, when the corporate executives are the heartbeat of corruption, and you need it. That's the reality. You can't have Amaldi's hotel without corporate executives. You can't have the fifth hotel, Sigerege hotel, without corporate executives being corrupt. You can't have MSB going at the price that you went to Mbinganjia. I wouldn't know that I'm 5.8 billion, okay? 5.5. Bank manager inali worth 60 billion at minimum. And 60 billion at minimum, Jufanya na mwanamvega, anayada yi wononga banki ja, anayada yi ikaiga ba level, nina wudi samabange reform, wuda yi kulise mwechiba kwa Mbinganjia. Aina mwanamvega ja, anayada CEO, MSB ndugui wononga. Kena koso mzabeleka ma toxic, what we call toxic loans to Muri, brother. So they destroyed that bank and we gulisa. It's like gambo rabu kuima masula timanati tina dumana gambo isiguenda. Isiguenda ifo duma masula manati ka. It was a full-fledged bank. A bank that was bigger, with more potential than it's a loss here. I know that the bank was struggling. The bank had issues, but it had issues because people made it to have issues. They deliberately destroyed the bank, and we gulisa kwa Mpinganjira. Maulele. So the corporate executives are the heartbeat. They are the heartbeat of corruption in Malawi. And unless we also create corporate corruption, corporate corruption is check up it will not go anywhere. The church is also protecting corruption. Mnamona Gangata anapeleka 40 million kwa mpingo. Nkani ya ujenije ita tenta ya Miles Hotel. That's corruption. And the church receives that money happily and hakuja you are chisale anamanga challenge. Muntu akubanga 5 billion to Malawians. Anawo manga challenge basi amaenda ndi Bible. It's funny now I don't see him carrying the Bible anymore. I want to see pictures of chisale kunyamula Bible. Amapita unchiro ujaga man tencha nimango mona kumango kwera njinga ya moto boda amango kwera boda sisi mamona anyamula Bible. Mona ndakachita bwino. Even then makomedo andala akanyamula Bible kumana kamvera chisoni just because maona Bible kupusa. What is justice? Let me not talk about that. Ajina Patridge mafuna 33 billion. You know, Patridge mafeni ndindao banana banga offer 14 billion. When I bange follow up, we can 14 billion yume and Patridge ana winner ili bati. And mutio ndindani Reserve Bank governor. Tili mavudo da Malawi. Ndi makamba za mada evo. Zomwe zinabangisa kuti I should find myself in this. I think tizakamba sikulina kani on the day. Kuma where are we? Conclusion yang my slides anga we find that over. Kuma no conclusion the corruption in the judiciary is at the heart of Malawi's paralysis of systems. So my systems atu afa gwanditu afoga ateratu faja corruption ya judiciary. If we fix corruption ya judiciary tizu sazimzambili. You know, and it's only with the progress that has happened that we need now. My victory is bina minute panga pankondo minute. We need to base pamozi to concretize them and then have a system to use them to create a system that now remains. Good evening. Kusogolo kuteza kandika President Kaguba ngati Gangata. Kuteza kandiji President Kaguba ngati Kakwera faja kwa na Kaguba. System azaka nige bekuba before this akatapanga create system. That's why other countries even president oza ongaza president odisari clever zintube zimaenda before they have system. So that's what we need. That's the way to go. And mafuna wakamba unena the society that is not based on merit or hard work provides a fertile ground for corruption and poor service provision. I don't need to speak on that. It's clear. Judges and lawyers have a great role to play. You know, we have maybe the greatest role to play in terms of dealing with corruption and, you know, having systems that reward people on the hard work and merit, where success is based on hard work and merit and not who you know, just who you know. You know, that's why Antamina Jao Sangabange explained Chuma Jawa. They don't have the discipline, they require discipline. Because at least they should have capacity to lie. You know, have a good lie to tell. You should at least have a good lie to tell. And you know, during the Iron Man conference, they failed even to create a lie. And what were they doing? The whole PowerPoint, could they play even to create a lie? All you're doing now, you're asking people not to be on Facebook. But they are doing that because they know this is where you're getting the information. The real information, the direct information. So how do they do that? They control. Because they know what they control my newspaper. They control the media houses. So test control also social media. The fact that it was a Zoom yanga you know, I bank corrupt Zoom link, a cyber attack. You're there watching, you can't protect Kamangira, you can't even contribute, you can't even take your 10,000, you know, 10,000 to contribute to the fight against corruption. Yet you always complain. That's how stupid as a people we are. The Malawi Africa, the Malawi, I talk about the continent as well. The Malawi, the Africa that we want, the future that we want is our choice. The choice yatu kusanka kwa watu. This is a war. Corruption is not kind. Never be kind to the corrupt.